Welcome to the No Bull Political Arena with your hosts, Sophia Nelson, Bill O'Reilly, Brian Mistro, and TJ McCormick. It's real voices, raw politics, and no bullshit. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Political Arena. I'm here with Bill O'Reilly and TJ McCormick, and we're going to do something I think that's going to be some fun tonight. I'd scheduled this originally that we were going to go through the Democrats' autopsy, and I'll tell you what that is in just a minute. But I was originally going to do this on Thursday Thoughts, so we could just really deep dive it. But we're going to hit it up, I think, in the arena because we can be a little bit more. Assholey about it. So that's probably the best word I can come up with. Um, so for those that don't know, the Democratic Party, after they got their asses kicked in the last election, decided that they would spend who knows how many dollars, for millions of dollars or whatever, for an autopsy to go through. They hire some folks to go through what's wrong with the Democratic Party, why they got their asses kicked by Donald Trump, of all people, by Donald Trump. And they kept the House and they kept the Senate. So that was a total remake. It was almost really, in my opinion, Bill, a 2008 Obama mode for the Republican Party, because that's what the Republican Party did in 2008. So, in typical Democrat fashion, God, I'm going to sound like TJ for a second. In typical Democrat fashion, they do this, they spend millions and millions of dollars to do this report. Then they decide, well, we're not going to release it. And then finally, a few months when primaries are either over or close to over, well, let's go ahead and throw it out there and release it. I mean, that way we can make sure nothing can change between now and the midterms. It's just like they shoot themselves in the foot all the time. So I thought what we do today, Bill, is go through some especially, and TJ, what we do today is go through some especially big points that I saw.
Yep. And
Um,
and if you could walk me through it, I
I
haven't had a
will.
chance to
I
read it,
will. And
so
I'm going
thank
to
you.
read
Yep.
these to you, some of the specific points that they did. And I want us to look at this, not just what the Democrats did wrong, but what the Republicans did right. And does this mean that both parties are going to be looking at having to do some major retooling coming into 2028? So let's
Okay.
start with the first slide, if I can. And this is a quote from, it's a very long report, so I apologize. I'm just going to have to yank quotes out of this. But for those that are just listening, let me read it to you. Quote, these losses are the direct result of missed opportunities to invest in our states, counties, and local parties and candidates, the report says. I'm going to hand it over to you in 1 second, Bill. I just want to say, hell yes. Absolutely. So,
I'm
yeah,
I'm just gonna say blah 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 blah. That you put that in any autopsy report. You know what I mean? That's generic language. I mean, you're right. It's they put it in there for a reason because people think yeah that's important, but that's filler. You know what I mean?
yeah.
That's
So,
filler in an
so,
autopsy.
so let me give you. I'm going to give you a personal example for those that know. So, my local congresswoman is MGP Marie Gluesenkamp Perez. And TJ will hate me, but I did go out against her and helped her to get reelected. I publicly endorsed her, went on television, radio, all the kind of stuff to help her. And she's a very different Democrat. She's a blue dog, and she has no problem breaking with her party. But now, why am I bringing this up? Because when she was running the first time, the Democrats decided that there's no way she could beat Joe Kent, who's now the asshole of the Republican Party, by the way. No way she could beat Joe Kent, and so we're going to put our money into some other candidate where it's a D plus 40. Okay, so it was just stupidity stuff like that. Um, and this is the kind of mistakes that they've made. And I'm going to circle back because I am going to hit you up, Bill, because you've been in the Republican Party, you know this stuff like crazy. But before I do, TJ, does the Republican Party invest in your stuff? Do they invest in the counties? Do they invest in the local races, the state races? What have you seen?
They do where they have it where something's in play. I mean, in a state like New York, Their money is limited because the number of Republicans in statewide office
Right.
and local office is very limited, and so therefore there's not a lot of dough. There's not a lot of staff. Say in Albany, so we'll take it from like a state level type thing, so like state senate and state assembly races. So, the resources writ large are limited, and so they go for what they call targeted races. They see where the money is going to be best spent, and they go for it. Um, but yeah, you've got county chairs and local city and town chairs that do try. They do try. They give. They always like every right, Billy. Every election cycle, we have those couple of conversations where we kind of try to convince ourselves that we have a puncher's chance to maybe steal one.
Yep. Sometimes we do. Sometimes we do.
And
And I
sometimes we do.
yeah, and I don't mean just like blah blah blah. What I meant was like that's the kind of thing that you just throw into an autopsy report. Like I feel like I've written that line 100 times.
Hmm.
Just work better with the local committees and do that kind of thing. But your point is right. I mean, Howard Dean did that when he ran the DNC. His thing was you got to run candidates in 50 states. You got to go after every district, even in the losing districts, and that's really good for organizational skills
Yes.
and practices. And it's also you pick up votes that way. There's no question.
Hmm.
Yeah. And also, too, um, you never know. You never know when you catch the other side sleeping.
Sleep. Exactly.
You never ever
Exactly.
know. And all it can take is that one little wobble, that one gotcha, that one swipe, that where that could start a chain reaction, and that could um, breathe some life into an otherwise dead or dying party.
Hmm.
You also get a weird dynamic, like when a Democrat's elected in a Republican state or a Republican in a Democrat state, once the voters get to know that person as a person, when they get elected, there's a miracle election, the entire party builds around it. Like you
Hmm.
start getting school board district runs,
Hmm.
state house, assembly, senate,
Yeah.
Congress, like people start showing up and the voters become less afraid of pulling that R or D line,
Yeah.
respectively. I
Right.
mean, to the point where I think I've cited on this before, but both Mike Bloomberg and Rudy Giuliani, first of all, Republicans won in New York City. They won
Hmm.
4 out of 5 boroughs.
Yep.
Hmm.
Like New York City is about 8-1 Democrat to Republican. It's like once you get, Rudy got in there, and at first it was like, oh, what's going to happen? A Republican was elected. All the Democrats are freaking out. And once they saw his policies working, and it's just, oh, it's Rudy, it's the mayor. You know what I mean? Next
Yep.
time was easy. So you
Sure.
can get a lot of change anywhere in the country. So the point is, you're exactly right. You don't give up on any territory or with any demographic.
Hmm.
But I think you could just write it a little bit better in the autopsy.
And also from a purely X's and O's standpoint too, whether or not any of the other benefit too is, and this kind of speaks to that whole targeted race thing. We have Mike Lawler running in maybe
And
the
that's like
most
a what is that, a
contentious.
D+5, or what is that district? I mean, it's a
It's
it's a
it's a it's a it's a D. What is it? A D5? I
D,
think.
I was going to say D or more. I don't know, but
Yeah, yeah.
but but anyway,
It
the
wa-
point
it
is,
had been a D10.
it
It
had
had
been
been.
a D10 at one point. But here's the thing: also just simply math, simply psychology, simply just by having contested races in every single um, uh, district, in every
hmm
single town locality, by having contested races, you're bringing more people to the polls. There's just, you're hoping to bring more people to the polls to vote for you, and therefore, when they vote that party line, then does supervisor so and so, the supervisor candidate have a shot? Does the other one have a shot? No, not a chance in hell. But we're bringing another Republican to the poll, and they're going to also pull the lever for Mike Lawler. So there's a real, very pragmatic rationale for that as well.
Right. Yeah, I think we lost Bill for a second. I don't know if you can hear me, Bill, but I'm going to go back to 2008. 2008, the
I
Republicans
can.
got their
Yep.
clocks cleaned. And so it's 2008. Republicans get their clock cleaned. They do their own type of autopsy. And before I move off on this, it was, as I recall, and Bill, you can help with this too, and TJ, but they said, and they went back, that they're going to start investing in the states. They're going to start investing in state runs. They're going to start investing in local offices. And it was part of not winning the next election. It was part of winning the election 20 years away. Because by doing that, and then you fill in the state houses with Republicans, that also gives you the judiciary. It gives you a lot of other things to build on long term. And as I recall, that was the philosophy of the Republicans coming out of 2008. Uh,
Yeah, although that autopsy that was though, and I apologize that I don't know why the video crept out. It just did. But that autopsy had a lot of things that never happened. You know,
mm,
they were actually it was actually pushing the Republican Party. It was nudging it more towards the center, and that's what they thought. Instead, the party went to the right and ended up growing as a result of it. You could
oh,
argue
okay.
which was better, but I think the best thing that came out of that autopsy, and a lot of things didn't happen, was data. Republicans and the Kochs helped with this, and a lot of
Hmm.
funders we were way behind in data, and Obama showed he taught us a lesson,
Mm.
and we've never been behind in data since then.
That's a good point. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's bring a
Yeah.
couple of other things if we can, and I'm going to move over, and I am going to read some of these as there's several different points about why Kamala Harris lost the presidential race, and I mean, I can agree with a lot of these. I think there's a lot of points. We could spend an entire week going through why she lost that race. But it said the autopsy says former President Joe Biden's campaign at White House failed to set her up for success. The national campaign did not effectively drive Trump's negatives, and the White House did not effectively support Vice President Harris over 3.5 years to improve her standing before the candidates switch. Um,
Yeah,
I
take that at face value. Oh my God, they're this thing is BS in a sense on its face to be before you even get out the gate because they didn't drive Donald Trump's negatives hard enough. They literally they said he ended up getting shot because they qualified him for an assassination.
Yeah, and they're going to come after, and after this, we're going to go through her negatives. But I do want to add that from folks I know that you know were familiar with that relationship in the White House, it was not always a positive relationship. I think
Oh,
that a lot of the Biden folks would come in, and I'm giving this to you third hand, and I can't use sources, so you're just going to have
mhm,
to take me at on my word. But
mhm,
the Biden folks would come in, and Kamala Harris would come barging in, and it would be very contentious when she did it. She seemed to be
mhm,
too superfluous
mhm,
in the policy, and was looking more for a camera. I again, this is what I've heard, but it doesn't surprise me because when we were looking at the last election, I was always under the impression that Joe Biden was going to be a one-term president. He was only going to do it once, and the whole point of this was to win the election and to set the Democrats up for 2024. Instead, look what we have. They lost the House, the presidency, the Senate, and it's an utter mess. What do you think, Bill? What is this? How much of this Joe Biden not supporting her and not doing this or that? How much of that is the reason she lost?
I mean, I think the culture war was the reason that she lost. I think the transgender issues, like those types of things. I think people. I think the Democratic candidate would have lost anyway on that. But she walked into a disaster. I mean, she inherited the disaster. I mean, he
Mm-hmm.
was that debate was just sad.
the
It was
debate.
sad. The debate was just devastating. And then, what was her job? They sent her down to South America to fix the border crisis while opening the border wide up. Like she was set up to fail. So, I'm not here to sing her praises, but she didn't get a full shot at that race.
Yeah.
These slides from the and I know you've been showing them to our viewers. These things could be you. Okay, quote: These losses are the direct result of missed opportunities to invest. Oh wait, no, I'm sorry. Wait, down here. One phrase repeatedly gets mentioned derisively, and that's identity politics. You could have after that closed quote. You could have dash. TJ McCormick, Republican communications consultant on Newsmax. You could say the message seems to be find candidates who match the, you know, dash. Bill O'Reilly, Republican communicate, strategist. I People like myself and Bill have been saying these things about the Democrats
About their focus
forever.
on identity politics.
They're in every press
For
release we put out.
Ever?
Yeah.
I mean, we talk about we talk about it on the on panels. We talk about it at the water cooler. We talk about it on the train. We talk about, this is all coming to all those chickens came home to roost. Every single one of them. I mean, and as Bill mentioned, the God particle of all of it was the confluence of Joe Biden and his performance with Donald Trump having his most disciplined hour and a half of his political life since he came down the golden escalator. He guys like me and Bill sitting there on the couches going, oh, I'll speak for myself. uh I'm sitting there on the couch saying, just let him talk. Don't you interrupt him, Donald. God damn it. Don't you open your fucking mouth. Let him go. Let the man go. And when he pauses, let that breathe. Let that, and he did. And he showed the world. So I'll put a cap on this for me. What you mentioned about that relationship in the White House, uh, Democrats lie. Joe Biden was an empty vessel that was plucked and put there because he was a useful, vapid idiot. He was never this grandfatherly thing. He sits atop a family of shame. They're racist. They're misogynist. And that's why Kamala Harris was. That's why Kathy Hochul is the governor of New York, because Andrew Cuomo picked the dopiest woman that he could find, because he thinks that because he couldn't stand to find a strong, smart woman, so he found a weak, dopey woman and put her in it. And now look who's running the state. So basically, everything that's wrong with Democrats, everything that's wrong with the left and leftism is why that happened. And Donald Trump was never going to lose, it seems.
Well, I don't know if I agree with all that, but instead of diving into that, I would just go to say that the person that I heard this from was not a Democrat, is actually a Republican. So it's connected into the White House, the Bush White House before that. So,
Yeah, I
but
don't I don't see
it's
why that.
irrelevant.
How does that
It's
mitigate? How does that
Well,
mitigate
it
anything? That
doesn't. It doesn't. I think it shows that what the entire process was a disaster. I think Bill's right. She was set up to fail. My question is whether she was set up to fail the 3 months before she started her campaign, or she was set up to fail
hmm,
12 months before that. I don't
Yeah.
interesting.
know. I don't know. But
And,
that's
and, and she's also not a terribly good candidate. I mean, she ran once
yeah,
before and she was out before the first primary.
Yeah,
yeah.
just like just
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
Joe Biden had been every step of his career going for the presidency. The two people in power for 4 years had both been rejected roundly by their party. One of them multiple times
Yeah.
because he's a vapid, empty suit.
Well, it's again. I think looking at this from down, I just have to agree with Bill. I think she was set up to fail. If they had had a primary, I've had a number of the large account Democrats that follow me and I follow them. They said, well, the reason she lost is because they didn't have a primary. I I don't know. I don't know. Maybe if she had gone into a primary and she would have absolutely come in last. And I don't think she came in last time, but I think she was like at the very bottom of the list. Oh, it's
I don't
Bill.
think
Hey,
she
Bill,
had
good
a
to see you.
I don't think she had a chance to finish last. Brian, she was out like early. I
Yeah.
don't think she had a chance to finish
Well,
last.
and by the way,
Neither did Biden.
let's throw this out too as a nice little factoid. Guess who is the number one person polling for 2028?
And Harris. Yeah. Yeah.
If at first you don't succeed, fail again. That's got to be the Democrats' motto.
Wait. Who's polling
Kamala
first
is
right now?
Kamala's polling on the top of that.
Oh, well,
Yeah,
Yep.
I mean, and
She
nobody's
knew some of
announced. It's a
uh,
lifetime or
sh-
two until that race.
yeah.
But
And wait till she
uh,
opens her mouth again and people go, "Oh, wait,
yeah,
that's right. She's an idiot."
I don't know.
that.
All right, so I do want to read one more quote here, and this goes back to why Harris lost. Now, this is where they focus more on her, and I'm going to read this. Harris's focus on college educated suburbs left gaps with Democrats and North Carolina gubernatorial candidate Josh Stein at unwinnable levels. I agree with that. Harris lacked in rural areas nationally. P.S. All Democrats do, but anyways. Harris
Hmm.
lagged in rural areas nationally, which proved to be instrumental in swing states. Harris wrote off rural Americans, assuming urban margins and suburban margins would compensate. Yeah, probably true. The Harris campaign appears to have relied on Trump being an unacceptable candidate rather than building on an affirmative case for Harris. Okay, here I go again. Hell yes. Yes. And that's not just her, by the way. That is the Democrats' entire messaging system is Trump is terrible. Okay. The
Yep,
problem with
agree
Trump
with
is
that one.
terrible is in about 2 years, Trump is gone. Okay. I mean, he may not be gone from politics. He'll still have some weight, but if his polling numbers are anywhere close to what they are right now, the weight that he'll be able to throw around that party, is going to be small. Not to mention the fact that age is against the man. Okay. I mean, he's not a spring chicken anymore. So I agree, and this is something I said on X. I've been very vocal about this on social media. I've been vocal on it about it with you guys. The Democratic Party has no message. They have no messaging, and they have no messenger. And it's obvious you love Trump or hating. If you're a Republican, you know what the message is, and that's whatever he puts out that day. I mean, there's a clear level of messaging for the Republican Party, and the Democrats just suck at it right now. I
Sure.
think that that's a major reason that they lose races. Bill, you and TJ are comms people for Republicans. You guys do it a hell of a lot better than the Democratic Party. Is that
It
true?
it it goes back and forth. I mean, 20 years ago, Republicans were driving the message. You had a lot of conservative ideas coming out of Wisconsin. Tommy Thompson, you had some really like sharp stuff, like the
Hmm.
Kemp world. Even 30, 40 years ago, that they were driving it. Then the Republicans went like into a dearth, like after the fall of communism. Um, like it kind of got lost a little bit, and the Democrats, with
Bill
starting
Clinton.
with the war in Iraq,
Yeah, Bill
with
Clinton.
Bill Clinton, but also later with the war in Iraq, the left, I mean, not the Democrats, but the left
Oh,
kind
okay.
of took the energy, the ideas would come from there. We didn't like the ideas, but they were cranking them out, and they still are. They're cranking out ideas. It's taken a while for the Republicans to get the ideas of their own again, and now they do. They're not all linear and consistent because a lot of them come from Trump, but the basic tenets of conservatism, I think, have come back together, and I think we're making a more coherent argument than the Democrats that are just kind of like abortion and gender and this, and they're just all over the place. There's
Yeah,
nothing to do with real,
TJ,
with
you and I
working life.
talked a little bit back about you. We said it's kitchen table issues. It's kitchen table issues. Over and over and over, we've said that, and you
Hmm.
brought it up many times. Um, is that the problem? They're just focusing on things that are the one percenters. What do you think?
You mean the Democrats?
Yeah, the
Yeah,
Democrats.
I mean, yes, the Democrats are talking over everybody's heads. The Democrats, when you see outside of these talking point versions of the autopsy, when you do see certain pundits out there on the shows or on the podcasts, you hear them saying, I think a bit more relatable. They say, look, we always sound like we're trying to be the smartest person in the room. We got to stop talking to people
Hmm.
like like we're entitled professors, which is true. And and also stop. I, you know, they're also biting their tail. They've been chasing their tail. They're cannibalizing on their own messaging. They tell the whole world to believe the science, believe the science, believe the science about global fucking warming, and then they want us to ignore penises and vaginas. But believe the science, believe the science, believe the science, except for that a biological male is a man. And
But it's a one
it's not
percent issue. It's a 1% issue.
it's
Mom
an
and
80/20
dad.
issue,
What? No,
at most.
well, no, I'm saying that it's a 1% issue. Talking about, in support of LGBTQ and all that kind of stuff. That's not on the top one, three, five, seven, 10 things that
But when you get
that
when
pair.
you get called a hater for it,
Yes,
when every time
there.
you turn on the TV, there's another talk show host
Yes,
like making fun of you for believing things that people have believed for thousands of
yes,
years, like
yes.
that kind of stuff. It all kind of accumulated,
Because
and it was
they
all
will. Yeah,
it's
go
all
ahead, Bill.
appendage of the Democratic Party. Hollywood,
Yes.
the sitcom makers, the news
Mhm.
writers, like they all just people got sick of that. They got sick of it. They got
And
sick of
look,
being called the bad guy.
exactly. You get sick. You're a human being. You don't like being called names. And Republicans pull our punches. When Bill and I are in polite company, we pull our punches. We don't tend to because we don't want to be called a name by that couple when they go get in their car and drive home down the Sawmill Parkway. We don't want them intimating that TJ's a racist. I don't want that. So you can imagine how Democrats feel. I don't believe that I don't believe that most Democrats, if even some Democrats, believe the bullshit they hear their so-called leaders talking about everything from global warming to what's a woman. But they're scared to death of being labeled and they're scared to death of being ostracized. Again, Republicans, the opponents, we bite our tongues every now and then for fear of the wrath of the leftist. Imagine how the soft Democrats feel.
And the thing with those autopsies is they're written by the people that with a political agenda.
Who
The
fucked it up?
autopsies, like often the ones who fucked it up. But what that autopsy should say, like to the average objective person, I'm going to try and be objective. It's hard for me to be that,
Mm-hmm.
but was that the Democrats clearly had a winning move to move towards the center when Trump came in. Like there were a lot of people fleeing the Republican Party. There
Mm-hmm.
was a lot of consternation, and they could have moved into that working class world like very easily and doubled down on it. And they went for utopia, theoretical stuff, academic
Mm-hmm.
arguments, and it just didn't fly. But I mean, what the hard left will say is what conservatives often say is like, no, you've got to draw a distinction. You've got to be sharp. You have to show an alternate course for the country or the state, whatever you're running for.
Right.
But I think in the Trump instance, they could have easily grabbed ground and kept it from Republicans for quite some time.
I agree.
Mm-hmm.
I agree. I agree. I want to jump to one slide, and then we're going to finish up, and I'm going to ask you about the future of the two parties.
Texas,
So
Texas
let's do
too.
this now. TJ, you brought this up earlier. The autopsy suggests it's a shift away from identity politics and towards middle class appeal. We just got through talking about that. Yes, hell yes, I
Mm-hmm.
completely agree with that. And if you don't agree with that, then you're obviously being paid by the Democratic Party as an activist. Also, the message seems to be find candidates who match their states or districts and have an appeal to middle class voters. I just think that just boils it down right there. I think that I'm going to go back to the messaging. They're just fucking up their messaging because if that's all you're hearing, and your mom or dad in the suburban or rural areas, and all you're hearing about is transgender this or the identity politics this or whatever, it's just going to turn you off, right? This isn't that hard, okay? And I don't know what the solution for them is, but they're going to have to fix it. And I just want to throw that out there, Bill and TJ, because you had brought it up and read it earlier, TJ, but
I
it
think
goes
the
back.
Democrats, I think it's, look, everybody was waiting for Republicans you know, to step up, do the right thing, denounce Trump, stop normalizing him, step away from him, get away from, he's bad, he's bad. How can you? How dare you? No, yep, sorry, got to do it. You're a Nazi, you're a Nazi, you're a fucking Nazi, you're a Nazi, you're a fucking Nazi. All right. Well, you know what? If they're concerned, if they really believe that it's that job numero uno is to start relating to the middle class, they need to start stepping up, getting bold, growing a pair, doing whatever, and stepping away from and calling out the Mamdanis and the AOCs and the Talaricos and the rest of the lunatics who are prepared to decimate the middle class,
Mhm.
destroy the middle class, and take every dollar they can from the middle class and just ruin their lives. And so and forget even that math about the middle class. It's about time. You know what? What's good for the goose? Whataboutism? I hate it, but you know what? Here you go. It's time for mainstream Democrats to grow a pair, and call out these insurgent, these socialists, hardcore leftists, anti-Semites.
Exactly. I was going to add that. Yeah.
Well, we've
Call them
got
out.
some of that on the right too. So I will hit that there is.
No, God
Uh,
damn it, Brian, you couldn't get through a
Kent,
fucking show.
I will show you. Kent,
Bullshit, bullshit,
show
bullshit,
Kent,
We,
bullshit,
we, we,
bullshit,
show
bullshit,
Kent.
bullshit, bullshit, bullshit,
we,
bullshit.
we throw, I should say, we throw them out when they show up. We throw them out.
We throw them out on their ears, on their asses. And you used to do that too when you were Republican. This is
Yeah.
bullshit. They embrace, and you know what, Bill? I'm sorry. I'm going to double down. They don't just keep them in, they raise them, they elevate them to mayor, they elevate them to congresswoman, they elevate them to talk to potential presidential candidates. That's what they do with their anti-Semites.
Okay, we are out of time. 30 seconds. Bill and
Sorry,
TJ.
Bill. Sorry.
Bill and TJ. 30 seconds. Is
No, just Bill. Just Bill.
Donald Trump is out of the scene in 2028. He's term limited. He's out. Is the Republican Party also going to have to retool in 2028?
Bill.
Yes, but I think it's going to be a different coalition than has ever existed. It doesn't slip back to what it was. It's going to be some kind of hybrid. I also wanted to ask you guys what you think about Texas tonight. What's going to happen?
It's gonna be a
Brian.
blowout.
That's Brian.
That'll be a blowout.
Yep.
It'll be a blowout. It won't even
Paxton?
be close. Yeah.
Paxton by
It'll
7,
be
10?
Paxton by. I don't even know if it'll be that close. I think it's gonna be
Wow.
once Donald Trump jumped into it. I think that race was over.
You think
I
no
knew it was over
runoff?
before then, huh?
You think?
What?
Wait, I'm sorry. Wait. You don't
This
think a runoff? You think he's gonna?
Well, they're
Oh
in a
wait, is this
runoff.
the runoff? This is the
This is
runoff.
runoff.
This is the
Yeah,
runoff.
it's
Yeah.
runoff. Yeah.
Yep.
Great.
It's
Aren't you
Cornyn
glad you
and
have me on your
Paxton.
show? Aren't you
Cornyn
glad you
and
have me?
Paxton. And I was
Could have been
saying
me.
months ago. I was saying in December. I was
Yeah.
saying it's going to be Paxton, and it's going to be Tallarico. I mean, I've been
Yep.
on this show saying this forever now, and
Yep.
here it is. And I will still say that it's the nightmare
Here's your
scenario.
first big one.
Now it's going to end up
Scenario for
it's
the
going to end up in the
Republicans.
next autopsy report, and Brian was saying it first, right?
Yeah, this is your first big get, Brian, for your own damn show. This is your first big prognostication coming true. Way to go.
All right, everybody, thank you for watching tonight. Please make sure that you subscribe to our channel. If you're watching it right now, it's obviously on YouTube. Press the subscribe button. It's free. You'll get this show. You'll get the Hinge of History. You'll get the Rad show that's coming up right after this in 30 minutes. And so please subscribe, like it, leave some comments. We'll read them out on air. And thank you again, everybody, for joining this and for joining me and Bill and everyone else. We really
Bill came back to
appreciate it.
life. There he is.
Yes, Bill's there. So thank you again. We'll see you tomorrow. Thanks, guys. All right.
Good night, guys.
The No Bull Political Arena is on all major social media platforms. Make sure to give us and your host a follow.
Hey everybody, this is Sophia Nelson. Follow me at I am Sophia Nelson on every one of my social media platforms.
I'm Bill O'Reilly, and you can reach me at Twitter at WFBOR.
Hey, this is TJ. Follow me on X or Twitter at TJ McCormack.
This is Brian Mistro, and you can follow me on X at Brian_Mistro or follow along on Facebook at Brian.Mistro.